to provide the real data to the investor, to the buyers, to have a good decision, proper decision about the investment in the property.
You basically rely on the brochure of the developer. You actually don't know how green the materials are,
exactly.
how sustainable the whole project is. Also essential if during development phase, if you might switch materials. Especially now with emerging technologies like AI, not every company will have an in-house data scientist to do all the things.
But the big issue is data.
The challenge is really that transparency.
Welcome to the new episode of Kotook Talk. We are happy today to have Jean-Luc Scherer, founder of Innopolis, and with more than 20 years of experience working with startups in terms of innovation, digital transformation, working with entrepreneurs. And today we want to talk about the sustainability in the real estate in terms and in the perspective of innovation and the technology, how those helps buildings to be greener and the real estate to be more sustainable. Jean-Luc, welcome to the Kotook Talk.
Good afternoon, Gerard. Thank you for having me. First of all, I'm really excited to be here and looking forward to our chat on such an important topic as sustainability, as well as how startups can support, develop that sustainability ecosystem. Really excited.
Very nice, very nice. John, please, based on your experience, tell us how much is important using innovation and using technology to make the buildings smarter and finally more sustainable. Okay, let's start, please.
All right, it's a very broad question, but I think when we look at sustainability and in particular in the construction industry and the developer space, I think what we need to look at is a bit what has been done historically. So let's say there have been building practices in place, and these were not necessarily up to par with what we would need from a sustainability point of view. So we have seen an evolution on getting new standards, new expectations. And I would say the first step or the first way technology was introduced is to start measuring the compliance to these standards, these requirements, and then also introducing solutions to retrofit existing infrastructure to satisfy some of these requirements. This is where we, in my previous career, worked a lot with telecoms and IoT solutions.
Nice.
And this is where we saw solutions coming up for things like energy management, starting to have better control on how energy is spent in buildings, getting everything connected. First of all, getting the sensors in place. So that is one of the first areas, I would say, where we are
in which stage we are right now? How much developers interested to use those kind of technologies? Because in some aspects we are in the beginning.
Yes.
So the expense is high and the technology is not very mature. So what stage we are in?
Right. So I think the way I would describe this is, in a sense, I would probably divide the work that has to be done, in a sense, in different categories. So maybe if you try to do a kind of a market map on startups and needs related to that industry, I would say there is, as I mentioned, there's a number of solutions that came up related to optimization, measurement, data collection.
Nice.
Then we started to see also startups working on purely like operational support. So for instance, how to better manage the workforce in the construction environment, providing solutions for safety, increased safety. We could also see solutions emerging for...
So you mean the technology used during the construction?
Exactly.
And in designing, in building a property? So also during the maintenance, the management of the building also.
Yes. So as I was saying, there's part related to measurement, management, and maintenance, especially related to, you could say, energy management as well, in particular, when it comes to some of the solutions that have been adopted by facility management companies. But then you had also everything related to the construction site, safety on the construction site. One of the issues that you often see with multiple suppliers is that things are not getting up, not arriving in time, or coordinating with the workforce, providing safety for the workers and so on. So that's another segment. And then if I look at the actual construction, this is where I think, or at least the feeling I have here in the region, is that the adoption of new tools, digital tools like BIM models and so on, and getting that collaboration with startups, that has been taking a bit more time. Now also there is
how was the progress during this year?
I think we are now at the point where I think that industry, which tends maybe not to be the fastest to move when it comes to innovation, is starting to act. Now we start to see consortia and different types of groups driving that development. So there's more activity now and more innovations happening than a couple of years ago. So
developers that are looking for those innovations right now in these new projects or not?
Yeah, I mean, when I look at the startup ecosystem, I've started to see a couple of years ago developers going to collaborate with startups and start specifying their needs. So in particular, in Abu Dhabi, there have been companies like Aldar and Alec that have been running particular programs addressing their needs and finding.
You mean they collaborate with the startups to innovate some things?
Mostly they define their challenges, and then the first stage is basically to see whether the technology that is out there on the market is a good fit for what they try to do. And then there were programs run by Start AD, for instance, which is you could say an incubator, accelerator, running programs. They've been doing that for Aldar and for Alec as well. And basically what they do is that they scout for startups based on the challenges that these companies have identified. They run them through a program to basically get them ready to perform a pilot. And if the pilot is successful, then the company will either set a contract, make an agreement with that startup, possibly invest in the startup. So that's the way these programs are run today.
Yeah. What's the most important things as we are looking in the Kotook? It's to provide the real data to the investor, to the buyers, to have a good decision, proper decision about the investment in the property. That depends on several parameters, like, for example, how the community is good, how much is developer is strong, how the environment that side is good or not. Different data, especially in sustainability data, we have struggling with collecting data or missing data. Okay, what happened this side?
Right. I think that's really an important topic, because the whole area of making, I would say, data transparent and public and available, we're still at the early stages of that. So for instance, today, if you look at the potential livability of a community or sustainability side of the building, you basically rely on the brochure of the developer. And now whether that is going to be reality or not, you don't know. The other thing is that when the developer is actually planning their building, whether it's in terms of the building practices or the materials or the suppliers, you actually don't know how green the materials are, how sustainable the whole project is. So that transparency is really critical to put in place in terms of what is being built. Now, there's other aspects to consider, which is like the external factors, as you mentioned. Is there any green plots around? What is the distance to the closest schools or other type of amenities?
That helps to better quality of life.
Exactly. So when we look at the quality of life and what we can measure from the outside, that is something we can crowdsource, we can find, and you can start assessing based on that. But when it comes to the building characteristics, a lot of that needs to be provided. And I think if you look at what is being collected later on from facility management, that is more related to energy usage and so on.
Yeah.
But when it comes to, let's say, maintenance of a building, how durable is a building, how much energy is it's not isolated the way it should be. That is difficult to know. Now, one thing to consider is, or one thing to think about and to drive forward is actually the regulations around this area. Now, I remember...
recently, we see a lot of developers looking for some certification for green buildings. It helps or not, totally?
Well, in a sense, yes. If you look at LED certifications and so on, they tell you what the state of the building is according to certain criteria, and that's needed, and that's the first step. But for instance, when you look at materials used and actually being able to have the whole traceability of these materials and see how green they are, in a sense, that is something that is happening, but is not fully, I would say, implemented or endorsed yet. In the EU, for instance, we have these regulations which are coming. They're coming up where basically in any industry you need to basically provide traceability of everything you're using, and that is then providing a much more reliable source to know the actual footprint or CO2 footprint of what you're building, since you know everything that is being used. And I think that is also essential if during development phase, if you might switch materials, maybe you plan something, but maybe a supply is not available, then you source something else and the characteristics are not the same. So having that traceability and being able to audit.
You mean this is like a chain?
Is a chain? It's like exactly.
Yeah. That all the startups should be works on it and make it complete. Yeah.
Exactly, but you could compare it. It's the same when we talk about food, right? You want to know where your food is coming from, so you want to have the whole traceability to the farm.
All supply chain should be tracked.
But it should be the same in the construction in the industry, where basically you should be able to trace all materials, and each material should have some kind of digital passport, if you want, where you know exactly what that impact of that material is on the environment.
I heard that a lot of startups here in the UAE as well working on providing those kind of data through different solutions, from making some devices, gathering some data, working with developers, with contractors, working with manufacturers, to tracking all the supply chain in the building industry. But as a final question or final topic, what is your recommendation for the startups and for who are active in innovation and technology? What is your recommendation to make the real estate and the building industry more sustainable?
Right. So, at the end of the day, it's important that startups...
in which area we need more help? It is the question.
I'm not sure if it's possible to pinpoint one area in particular, but I would say that today, developers, as a majority of companies that need to transform and change, they need to be much more open about their challenges. They need to make their data more accessible. Often they will try to innovate from the inside and might not have the capabilities or the know-how Especially now with emerging technologies like AI, not every company will have in-house data scientists to, do all the things they or explore all the opportunities they have from the data they have. So they need to start sharing more of that data, maybe work with companies that can exploit that data. I think that's probably one of the main things really, is to work with, for companies in that business to work with startups that are really data driven and can leverage the data that they have. But it does require.
You mean what the big issue is data? Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the challenge is really that transparency that is needed to expose data. So for instance, I mean, if you think about like the later stages, right, the retail part, when properties are sold, in the past it wasn't even possible to easily find information about what is the average price in that area.
Yeah, exactly.
That is data
because the market ask it.
Yeah,
demanding.
Exactly. The market has been asking. So initially it was just with the agents, but then government is saying, no, hang on, we need to get that type of data public. We need to get that data visible. And I think that has driven a lot of then innovation as well, because then startups can look at that data and maybe guide investors to different areas.
In Kotook, we try to make this feeling from the buyers and investor side, these requests from that side should be created. So after that, developers should provide those data. Right now in the market, most of the investors and buyers doesn't ask about the sustainability data or the greenness index or something like that, but they ask for the average price of the area, asking for the for example, which developer is it, and what this kind of data, basic data they asking for. Our mission in Kotook is to create this request from the investors and buyers. What you're writing?
Yeah, I think this is really important to create that type of connection. I think investors will progress. I mean, they need to learn as well about what it means really to have a green property, and they need to understand that potentially the value of that property is going to be sustained much better than a property that falls apart after 5 or 10 years, exactly. Or a property where the costs are increasing for maintenance because it was not built properly, or that the community...
It shows in the long term.
Exactly, or that the community is not growing because people don't feel it's attractive to live there because it's too much traffic, too much this and too much that. So getting all these data points, I think is going to be increasingly important. Not only for investors, but also for people that want to rent, right?
Tenants,
For tenants, I want to know if I'm living, if I'm getting a better quality of life living in a neighborhood that is maybe a few blocks away than maybe one where prices seem the same, but actually quality of living is very different. Now, the other thing I really want to stress on that, and if we look at the knowledge that the investors want to have, I think it's very important to guide them also throughout the process. What I mean with that is that initially, and again, share more data points. Again, if you think about the whole process on off-plan, basically where you buy something before it's built, maybe that whole process can last 3-4 years, right? So initially, there's a promise, right? There's a promise of building a green community, but then there's a reality. How quickly is everything falling in place, right? There might be some things that work according to plan, and maybe others that are not. So as you have your promise initially, after let's say 12 months, where are we with that? Are we compliant to these requirements, or have there been changes?
Exactly.
It might be that a supplier you were planning for has been exchanged, right? And then what happens? Is the building still as sustainable as it was intended?
Designed,
So all of these are things I think we need to somehow present to the investor and the end user in an easy to understand way, to some kind of index maybe, or some kind of scoring, so that it's easier for any of us to say, okay, actually this property is something I'm interested in, and also maybe I'm willing to pay a premium for that. It's not about, I think it's important to say also, it's not about, let's say, putting down, let's say, one project compared to the other, but just saying, okay, this is worth the money, is worth maybe to pay that premium because I get what I'm really looking for.
Okay. It was so interesting.
And thank you for having me. It was great to having this chat, and looking forward to see your future episodes.
Okay. Goodbye to the new episode.